Rising inflation is impacting everything from consumer prices to social benefits programs. The Consumer Price Index is now 5.4% higher compared to last year. That's up slightly, a tenth of a percent from the month before. Costs are climbing as supply chain bottlenecks lead to product shortages. As a result, the government is announcing the biggest boost to Social Security in 40 years. Let's bring in Dana Peterson. She's the chief economist at the Conference Board. It's a nonpartisan, nonprofit organization focused on helping leaders navigate the biggest issues impacting businesses. Dana, welcome. It's good to have you with us. The White House is continuing to insist that rising prices are temporary and were expected. Do we have an idea when they might go back down?
Well, certainly some of the price increases we've seen are potentially temporary. Certainly they're associated with supply chain disruptions and rises in the cost of transportation, and that's all being passed on to consumers. Also, because we're seeing labor shortages, we're seeing wages rise, also being passed on to consumers. Hopefully, once the pandemic's over, our hope is next year, or early next year, we should see some of those costs fall off. But some prices are rising and probably will be more persistent. Certainly, we're going to see more labor shortages in the next couple of years as more people retire and there just aren't enough people to replace them in the workforce. Also, we're looking at a chip shortage, a semiconductor chip shortage, where there just aren't enough chips to supply cars, um, things like cars and gadgets and cell phones, and that may not go away right away. Certainly because it takes a long time to build a new factory, and also we expect that there's still going to be very strong consumer demand for high tech products going forward.
Well, how significant is extending hours of operation at U.S. ports and companies in alleviating the supply chain backlog?
That's very significant. Indeed, other economies have year-round, round-the-clock, day in, day out ports that are open. In the U.S., many of those ports close on the weekends and in evenings. So this will help alleviate the number of ships that are sitting offshore waiting to be unloaded. The key thing, though, is that we still have a shortage of truckers in the U.S. So even once those products are removed from their containers on the ports, they still have to be transported around the country. And so, certainly, while this is a good first step, we really need to be able to address the trucker labor shortage.
Well, on Wednesday, the Social Security Administration said Social Security benefits would go up nearly 6% to match rising inflation. Explain how that impacts people receiving those benefits and wage workers.
Absolutely. Certainly for the people, the senior citizens who are receiving this is great. They'll be receiving roughly $90, a little bit more than $90 extra per month on average, which should certainly help out with the fact that prices have been rising for things like food and gasoline and basic goods and services. However, there is a potential that this could spill over into the private labor market where private workers might say to their bosses, well, we're also seeing rising costs and hence we should see higher wages. In fact, we're seeing people vote with their feet with the number of quits, people that are just leaving their jobs to find better opportunities and higher wages.
Right. I mean, so are employers making up that difference, or will people simply be taking home less money?
Well, some employers are already making up that difference. We see when we look at the employment data and wages, we're seeing wages rise quite precipitously for leisure and hospitality, certain manufacturing jobs, and also in the healthcare services. But then again, many businesses, according to our survey of how much businesses are looking to raise prices in 2022, are still looking at a 3% increase, which is much less than the COLA, the cost of living adjustment for Social Security benefits. So indeed, some workers are benefiting from rising wages and other workers may not.
Well, 4.3 million people quit their jobs in August, yet businesses say they are struggling and businesses say they are struggling to find enough workers. Can you explain this and how long this labor shortage could last? I mean, you touched on this a moment ago, but it would seem that employees are the ones with the leverage currently when you look at the labor market.
Indeed, you certainly are seeing what's being called the great resignation. Many workers are seeing this as an opportunity to find jobs that potentially have higher wages. So, for example, many businesses, especially large companies, have raised their minimum wages. And certainly for smaller companies that are not able to do that, they may potentially be losing workers to those larger companies. Also, when we look at the labor shortages and certainly people quitting, many people are moving out of sectors that involve in person activity, such as restaurants, retail, brick and mortar retail, hotels. And so these industries are finding it very difficult to find workers, even though they may be raising wages and offering additional benefits. It's really certainly a time for workers to take advantage of the higher wages and more opportunities.
Well, as the White House seeks to step up IRS enforcement targeting wealthier Americans, a proposal to monitor transactions in all bank accounts with over $600 is sparking privacy concerns. What is the Treasury Department's justification, and do you think the concerns are warranted?
Well, my understanding is that the Treasury Department is attempting to increase the amount of taxes that people are paying. Not everyone, but certainly people who may not be paying their fair share. And their concern is people who are hiding money by scattering them around small accounts, multiple accounts with small balances. And so that's pretty much what the Treasury's argument is. However, the argument is that you're really going to create a big dragnet that may capture a lot of folks who really aren't necessarily avoiding taxes. And so there are concerns about the low level in terms of the balances that of account balances that would be monitored.
All right. Well, Dana Peterson, Dana, thank you very much for taking the time to talk to us. We appreciate it.
Thank you.